Morning. It is Friday, August 30th, 2024. I'm Larissa. It's my video diary. And the time has come. The time has come. Oh, oh, for back scratching. Ah, morning back scratcher. I just saw it while I was reaching for my tea, and I was like, oh, yeah, I forgot. Forgot about that. Back scratching. And drinking from skulls. Oh my gosh. I'm tired still. I'm still sleepy. So yesterday, oh my gosh, yesterday I started unpacking boxes. Oh my gosh. And thought I had opened everything and thought stuff was missing. There were two boxes. One, both that had merchandise, both which had, finished work in it, right? That I couldn't find. And I was flipping out. Oh, no, not quite. Larissa flipping out is, it takes a lot. You gotta push real hard, but I was close. I was close to losing it. I was close to losing it. And I texted Omar, and he came over and moved stuff around. And I thought I had opened all the boxes and, restacked. Open, stack, open, stack, open, stack. I thought I'd opened them all, and I hadn't. And when we found the stuff, I sat down and cried. Oh, I mean, it was a box that had the entire Zodiac It series, right? 12 men's jackets that are $1,200 a piece, right? So that's a lot of money. And the other box was a box full of jewelry. Which, I have, like, if stuff had been missing, I have a detailed inventory, right? And everything's numbered, right? In the inventory. I have a detailed inventory. So if anything had been missing, I could have turned it into insurance. Um, but thank God it wasn't. And it was just like, when it was found, I sat down, was so relieved. And, like I said to Omar, it wasn't so much about the stuff. I mean, yeah, it was like, oh my God, all that stuff that I made, right? Like, but it was like, how many times? I'm like, how many times am I going to be robbed? You know, that's what's hard when I deal with trauma response, right? And I'm reminded of the fact that I have um, significant trauma and have to be kind to myself over that. Um, it's not that, lots of people have been broken into or whatever. I, I've been, our home's been burglarized so many times. It's a severe trauma for me, right? And because of the nature of the way we've been broken into, it wasn't just like, oh, neighborhood teens swiping purses off of, from next to people's couches, right? Um, like I've had my house tossed a number of times and very personal things taken a number of times. And, that takes a toll on you when, like, I don't know, the creepiest thing, and this sounds so weird, but I've had 16 pair of my underwear stolen out of my home, right? That's since we've been here in Santa Cruz. And that has been, uh, the stuff here in Santa Cruz and the time that our place got tossed when we were in Vegas, when we lived in Oakland, when our loft got tossed. We came home from Vegas and our loft was tossed. Those two, and those are just two of the many times that our home's been burglarized, but those two are really, really, really triggering, right? Um, just, your undergarments are such a very personal thing. They're so close to your body. They cover the, you know, most protected part of your body, the part that that you only share with those who are closest to you, the part that, you know, where the grossest things about you happen. And it's just, to have your underwear taken, right? And like, I know that they were taken. There was other stuff taken at that time too. That, there was stuff taken out of the kitchen. We had At that time there was bleach, salt, hydrogen peroxide, and some canned foods, and frozen some. I had all of these. I'd made all these stuffed sandwiches. I make these stuffed sandwiches. I used to make them all the time for Omar, and I make them for the guys sometimes when they come here to work. But I had a whole bunch of these stuffed sandwiches in the freezer, and they took like 2 bags of those, and they took dried goods, beans and rice, and the chili the chili mix that I made. Um, there was like all this stuff, and it's like, and then on top of it, underwear, and I had just done laundry, and there was like a stack of underwear, clean and folded, you know, neat and tidy on the top of the drawer. And I only, when I find a pair of underwear I like, then I'll just buy, and that's all I have is the same pair of Gucci's. Um, and it was like 16 pair that were taken. Well, it was 16 pair in total because they came back, they hit us twice. They hit us twice. Um, yeah, they took vitamin supplements and stuff. So they took like 8 pair, and then I replaced the underwear, and then it was the same thing, 8 pair. Same thing. It was like I had just done laundry and they were folded and put away. Like, oh, oh, so gross, you know? And so you look around at like all of your things. And the one time when they stole stuff, like I had some new lip balm and things. I had some new like personal care products, and the lip balm, it was coconut, and it was in this little tub, and it was kind of, you put your finger in and then put it on. And I got it for putting on because it was real, real thick, and it was super moisturizing. And I got it to put on before I went to bed, right? So it was like sitting on my nightstand here next to the bed, and they dug all of it out, and there was just like a little bit left in the bottom. It was a brand new tub. I only used it like a couple times, right? And, to know that somebody else's finger had been in my lip balm. I mean, it was stuff like, so then I'm looking at like all of my personal care products, and it was like, it's like, what all have you stuck your fingers in? And I looked like looking at everything in the kitchen. I'm like, oh, like, ugh, you know, it's really, really, really violating. And so yesterday it was just like I had to go through all that, right? That feeling, that feeling of violation. And I was really relieved when we found the boxes, when Omar opened the box, found them, like moved them. He's like, "You just didn't open this one. You just didn't open this one." It's like, "Oh, okay." I thought I'd opened everything. I thought I had opened all the boxes, but I hadn't. It's hard, right? And you realize when you have to accept that someone has taken that peace of mind from you, someone has taken that personal sense of safety from you, um, that personal sense of privacy. So that was hard. That was hard. And then I was kind of emotionally drained after that. Um, and accepting that, trying to stay centered. So everything was found, and I just sat there and I just said to myself over and over a few times, reminding myself that things are replaceable, people are not. Because the reality is that, when they steal my jackets, I can make more jackets, right? I can't replace Brody. I can't replace Omar, right? We were safe. Jackets can be replaced. Jackets can be made again. Not the exact same ones, but I can make more things, right? So just reminding myself that, and it was just like, okay, bringing myself back in center and being present and being grateful in that present moment, and it was a lot. It was a lot, and you know, processing through that anger again, like when you go through violation, serious violation, um, and I have dealt with this different times with, processing through or reprocessing through emotions around like physical assault as well, because I'm an assault survivor, and like the woman in Saratoga who insisted on touching me even after I told her to please stop touching me, you know, um, the bottom line is that that woman physically I could have taken her, right? So like I didn't feel necessarily in that kind of physical danger. Um, but it brought up all of those feelings from that you're left with after physical assault, right? Um, disgust and lack of safety, and you know, there's a very unique feeling when you've had control and autonomy of your own body inhibited um, by another, right? Like the time I was held hostage. Um, you know, I was held hostage overnight. Um, so you say, oh, well, you only, it was only overnight, but you don't know, right? Like, and there, there's a placation that you try to offer to your captor, the person who's holding you, when you truly don't know, like, what they're capable of. And he wouldn't let me leave, and he threatened me when I tried to leave, like with physical violence. Um, but then he wanted to like have a barbecue, right? And it was like weird. And and uh, so, on a day-to-day basis, once you've been through those things, you still deal with that all the time, And there's things that, people who haven't been through those things that they just don't think about at all. Um, I'm always conscious of my surroundings when I am getting in and out of my car, right? Um, or even opening a door, unlocking a door in a public place, like it's in a public place. Like when I go in to my space in the morning or when I leave or whatever. Even to an extent here at my home, even though we live in a fairly isolated area, even then there's still an awareness. Like I am always, it's like I want to have my key ready before I get out of the car to open the door, right? I don't want to be stuck at a door fumbling with keys, right? Like I want to have my key ready, um, just in case, right? And I want to look and see where can I run away to, right? What are my exit routes? It's a level of vigilance, and you know, I'm not hyper vigilant often anymore. Occasionally, I am. Sometimes, right? And it's not like a that's not like a normal. It's not like a normal state. Most people hypervigilance is hypervigilance is a trauma response. I think about all of the people that are actively exposed currently to war situations and how long what is that trauma response, dealing with that's going to be very hard. you know um Sometimes the trauma response becomes that you just like retreat into yourself, right? A lot of you know a lot of my isolation over the past decade has been due to trauma response from assault, um, and violation of being burglarized, and stalked, right? um I guess what was it, 2 years ago, not this past no, it was this past Halloween, not this past Halloween, the Halloween before. And so it was 2 Halloweens ago, not this past Halloween, the Halloween before. That was when dead animal was left on my car in grocery store parking lot, and there had been some stuff that had happened here at the house, on the property, in the days leading up to that. After the dead animal, that was really hard. For about a week, it was really, really hard. Um, yeah, yeah. So, anyway, I just have to be nice to me and also just be aware that most people don't deal with that kind of thing and don't have to deal with that kind of thing. So, like, I can't be upset with other people when they don't understand what's going on, right? Like, because it's not the response that I have to things like that are different, right? I have to be accepting of that, right? Oh my gosh. I think I also am dealing with election season trauma. Our ballots, Omar and I both vote absentee, and our ballots are in the mailbox, literally. And I haven't gone to the mailbox. Mailbox is half a mile. My mailbox is half a mile from my house. It's down the street. And yeah, sure, I could stop on the way in. And I need to pick them up because sometimes our mailbox gets broken into and I would hate for my ballot to get stolen. That would suck. Yeah, it would. Um, but I need to go get it. And I just like I don't the thought of having that ballot sitting in my house is feeling a little bit violating right now, given the climate, the political climate and all of the back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And oh my God. Oh my God. All the stuff over Trump's Arlington Cemetery. Like that is so offensive. That photo op is extremely offensive. Extremely offensive. And if I were a an American service person, right? I would be totally disgusted, not only by him, but also by Tulsi Gabbard, right? Yeah, seriously. So, I mean, that is just like he's a draft dodger. He is a duty shirker. He is he is devoid of any personal accountability, right? He's repulsive. Absolutely repulsive. And that photo op is so tasteless. So fucking tasteless. You know? Oh. And there's all the headlines about, oh, Kamala's flip flopping on policy stances, blah, 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 blah. And I was looking at some of the stuff they were talking about, and, she used to be anti fracking. This is how I feel about fracking as a Californian. This is how I feel about anything around energy. I don't support the Green New Deal crap because that's what I believe it is crap. It's passing the buck on to other countries. Um, but I think, you got to look at, particularly when it comes to fracking and here in California, fracking here in California, it's not that I'm like anti-natural gas. Like if you can get it safely, great. But if you can't get it safely for the community where you're fracking, then you got a problem, right? And they frack out here, then there's quakes, right? Like fracking on a fault line is foolish, right? Right? The same way I think it's foolish to put nuclear power plants on fault lines. But am I anti-nuclear? No. Right? Like, I'm not anti natural gas. I'm anti trying to, or putting at risk and danger communities for extraction. Right? So, you know, I don't know. And when you say somebody has changed their position or changed their mind on something, that's not necessarily a red flag to me, right? That's not necessarily a bad thing. When you say somebody has changed their mind on something, I'm not like, oh, you said this and you said that. What my next question is, oh, well, what led you to make that change? Right? Because, you know, we're allowed to learn new things. We're allowed to change our minds, right? When there's new information or when circumstances have changed in some way, right? Like China has now turned on their first thorium reactors. And the whole world, well, I shouldn't say the whole world, I should say global governments are looking at that, not talking about it too much in the mainstream, right? That whole thing's been, the whole thorium thing has been brushed under the rug for the past 10 years, right? The vast majority of the American public has no idea what I'm talking about when I talk about that, right? But it has a huge influence on global energy policy, on global energy positions. And so, when I see headlines saying, "Oh, Kamala Harris has changed her mind," I'm not offended by her changing her mind on anything, right? I'm curious what led you to change your mind, right? And that's what the discussion should be for anyone, but it's not. Um, so, election season trauma. Election season trauma. Trump Kamala trauma. Traumala. Oh, oh. I gotta pick up my ballot out of the mailbox. Oh, bring it in my house. Oh, yeah. So yesterday, in addition to all of the trauma response filtering, also went out and bought a couple new pieces of furniture for the gallery for some cupboards and drawers and things. Now I gotta figure out how I'm gonna arrange them. And I gotta go pick up one last piece, so couldn't get everything in the truck yesterday. So I'll go back today and get the last piece and see how I'm gonna get that out of the truck. The pieces, like I got them all out by myself. And the one piece, it's a table, it's so friggin' heavy. I just barely got it in the front door, got it off of the truck, and Homer's like, "How did you do that?" I'm like, "I don't know. How did I do it?" Well, you know, physics and geometry, that's how I do it because when I don't have to bend down to pick it up, right? When it comes off of the bed of the truck, right? So it's easier that way, right? Because it's already partially lifted, right? Was able to cantilever things over my head and stuff. Um, but I got them in, but this one table is so heavy I can't flip it up right. I told Omar, I said, I don't know what the wood is. I don't know if it's madrone or what the hell it is. I'm like, but it is not oak. I mean, an oak's heavy. This is not oak. This wood is really, really hard. Like when you knock on it, I don't know what the wood is. It's hard and it's really, really heavy. Yeah, really, really heavy. But I got it in the door. I just can't stand it up. I need help doing that. So the last piece is the bottom of a hutch, and it's probably going to be heavy, but I think it has drawers I can remove. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it is. We'll see. But I continue unpacking boxes today. So I got those furnitures yesterday. Oh, and then I'm looking at my new rent and like my utilities are crazy high, and I'm just like, how is this? And they're estimated, so we're going back and forth about that. Like, if they're estimating my energy use based on the bills of the business that was in the space previously, it's fucking ridiculous because I don't have all those machines, right? The business that was in the space before me was a t-shirt, polo shirt, sweatshirt printing shop, right? And they had all kinds of machinery in this space. I don't have all this machinery, right? I don't. I don't have all this machinery. I have a sewing machine that hasn't even been plugged in yet. So, I was under the impression that utilities for the space were going to be in my name. I thought that's what the lease said. And so we'll talk about this face to face today, because it's kind of it's an unreasonable amount of money. It's an unreasonable amount of money when I haven't even been in the space more than 2 weeks. Um, yeah, yeah. They said it's supposed to cover landscaping, but the only landscaping, there's stones around the building that don't really need maintenance, and there is one bush that we used to have one at the house in Santa Rosa in front of our front door. It only needs trimmed twice a year, right? So I'm not sure what the monthly landscaping fee is for. I'm not sure what it's for because there's not really any landscaping. Um, and then there's something called um, landlord insurance. And I looked this up, and landlord insurance is not required by the state of California for landlords to hold. And it says that tenants don't pay landlord insurance, so landlords pay landlord insurance. And so I'm not sure what that's about either. They're saying that this is part of the CAM fee. Well, I wasn't given a rundown of what the CAM fees were covered beforehand. So we'll see. I'm a little bit concerned. More than a little bit, right? Because I don't want to be covering stuff for. I don't want to being paying double because per my lease, I have to name the landlord as additional insured on my insurance policy. So how's that work? I got to pay your insurance twice? How's that work? I don't know. Doesn't sound right to me. I got questions. So I'm going to have that conversation today. And then tonight, I think we'll barbecue. Maybe. We'll see. Last night, I made the chili. I made a chili baked potato. So I made a baked potato and I made a little pot of chili, kidney bean chili. It was real good. There's a little bit left over, just enough left over to have chili and eggs for breakfast today. Yeah. Yeah. Or maybe I'll let Omar have the chili for lunch. It's like one big bowl of chili or two small bowls of chili. Right? It was real good. Kidney beans and red bell pepper and some of my chili mix and carrots and celery and corn and onion and tomato and cilantro and parsley and cumin and coriander and put it on the baked potato with some um, cheddar cheese and some sour cream. It was real good. And I put a bed of spinach. I put the potato on a bed of spinach. So there was green vegetable in there too. And then Omar got some ham on his. I didn't need the ham because I had the beans and the corn. And a bean and a grain make a complete protein. Yeah, so if we barbecue tonight, I do okra. I got okras. Okras. Do stewed okra. Although, maybe we won't barbecue. Do stewed okra with rice because I don't like taking the rice cooker downstairs. So, do stewed okra with white rice and falafel patty. I do those in the toaster oven. Yeah. Stewed okra with rice. I make good okras. Yeah, I do. I like okra. It's a big container of okra, though. Maybe I'll do half of the okra stewed, and then maybe I'll do half of the okras fried some other time. Dredge them and fry them. I make good fried okra, I do. Popcorn okra. Yum! Popeye's Chicken has a side of popcorn okra, fried okras, but their fried okras are more fried than okras. You know, mine's much better than Popeye's. Anyway. Excuse me. Burpity burp. yesterday. I threw the ball for Brody a little bit, did a little bit of singing. There's a song I really like that song, Old Flames. I really like that song. My grandma was dying. I sang that for her. And I know it sounds like a kind of a weird song to sing for somebody who's dying, but it was the reason I chose that song was because Merle Haggard and Dolly Parton were two artists, musical artists that my grandparents liked together, right? They they both enjoyed their music. Um, and Merle Haggard wrote that song and performed it, and Dolly Parton was kind of made that song pretty famous too. So that's why I chose that song for her because it was something that was, you know, both of them, you know. And it's a good song. Brody likes that song. He does. He looks at me like this, puts his ears up, and listens. Yeah. Downtown tonight, saw an old friend, someone who I used to take comfort from long before I met you. I caught a spark from his eye, a forgotten desire. With a word or a touch, could have rekindled that fire. But old flames can't hold a candle to you. No one can light up the night like you do. Flickering embers of love, I have known one or two. But old flames can't hold a candle to you. Sometimes at night I think of old lovers I've known. I remember how holding them helped me not feel so alone. Then I feel you beside me, and even their memories are gone. Like stars in the night, lost in the sweet light of dawn. But old flames can't hold a candle to you. No one can light up the night like you do. Flickering embers of love, I have known one or two. But old flames can't hold a candle to you. You. Such a good song. Such a good song. Yeah. An old bluegrass song, When I Loved You. Yeah, that Hazel Dickens. She came up in the playlist yesterday. When I loved you, you didn't want me. You turned me away from the door of your heart. When I loved you, you loved me too, but you didn't know it, darling, till another won my heart. Well, I just got the message you sent, my friend, telling me that you had to be with me once more. You heard of my wedding, and you can't believe it, but my heart is safe now, don't ache no more. There were a couple guys. Before, just before. Like, really, dude? Haven't talked to you in years. Yeah. Anyway. That's another story altogether. Now I know the melody and the harmony both on that song. It's a good song. Well, you say that you need me more than you need life, and you've asked me to cheat him, meet you tonight. Oh, but how could you want me if I were untrue? 'Cause you know if I'd cheat him, then I'd cheat you too. Anyway, anyway, yeah, I finished my tea. Make me some scrambled eggs, and him too. And oh, hopefully the laundry is dry down in the dryer. And I'll fold that before I get going. Before I get going today. Clickety clack, clickety clack. Heard that Snoop Dogg song on the radio. Drop it like it's hot. Anyway.